Chris Aveda with American Outdoor News Podcast. I'm here with Carson Keys, the Chapter Services Manager at Safari Club International. Carson, it's so good to speak to you again.
Good to talk with you, Chris. It's been a couple of years, and I'm glad we could reconnect, and been super looking forward to jumping on this podcast with you and just chat and catching up, especially right before Thanksgiving. Maybe we can talk hunting plans and all that. So been really looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on.
I still follow you on social media. I see what you're doing.
Same.
So now, Chapter Services at Safari Club International. You're in charge of basically starting up new chapters?
Yeah, so my role is kind of a coach-player role within the organization. And what I mean by that is I'm technically, I oversee all the U.S. chapters, so about 125, 130, give or take. And then I've got a team of guys as well that work for me. And so we have Sean Jackson oversees the East Coast.
Sure.
And Ice Cup oversees the Midwest. And then I oversee basically everything from the Rocky Mountains west. So I have my own region. What I mean by the coach player is I have my own region. And then I'm, helping service all the different chapters. I couldn't do that on my own, as well as helping manage the team and helping the two folks they need, making sure they have the resources they need, the odd questions that we get on a daily basis, being a sounding board for them. And then quite frankly, they're sounding me too. So it works great. And so we oversee, like I said, the 130, give or take, U.S. chapters that we've currently got. And our job there is to make sure that they have the resources they need. They're happy. They're healthy. They're having good fundraisers. They're having good membership events. They're spreading the SCI as far and wide as they can. Uh-huh. And then on the flip side of that, to your point, is starting new chapters. And so we've done, just this year alone, we've done about 20 new chapters. And wow. The team is we have the best team at SCI, is what I always say. And I tell everybody within the office, you're like, hey, I'm not trying to start any fights, but we have the best team at SCI. And I give all the credit in the world to Sean and Jordan, because they're awesome.
Are there different types of chapters, or there's just one blanket type of chapter across the board?
Yeah, so good question. We've got kind of our international chapters, Canada and Mexico, and we also have a chapter services specialist and advocacy specialist in Canada. Her name is Chris Everett, so she focuses purely on Canada, those Canadian chapters, as mm-hmm. well as, if you've paid attention to the news for 30 seconds in the last month, you've seen something terrible happening in Canada. Is there. And then Jason St. Michael, he's the director of chapter and membership services. He services the international chapters, so New Zealand, bunch of new European chapters. We've started adding some African chapters and things like that. So that's his role. The American chapters and the North American chapters and the international chapters look slightly different. There's some different laws and things like that apply here but don't apply to, or vice versa. But by and large, Chris, a chapter's a chapter.
Well, what are the benefits of getting involved with a chapter?
So the number one benefit in my mind, if I'm new to an area, or I'm looking to get involved in or even just outdoor recreation in general, and I'm not sure how to start, or I've been a hunter for 30 years and I'm just looking to expand my network. To me, I always tell where you're from, who you pray to, how much money you make, what color your collar is. Everybody in the world is looking for community.
Sure.
So in my eyes, that's the key piece that SCI chapters provide, and we're across all several different chapters per state in a lot of cases, and so there's a really good chance that if you're out there searching for a community of like-minded people, you want to learn more, you want to expand, maybe you know how to hunt whitetails in a tree stand really, really good, which I'm terrible at, but if that's you and you're, hey, I would love to go on an elk hunt today. And there's probably, or hey, I would like to go to Europe and hunt, or I would like to go to Canada or Africa or whatever it is. There's a good chance that there's somebody in a chapter, good chances there's a chapter near you that you can pick their brain and learn from. So in my mind, that's the key. That's what's most impactful and powerful from Secondly, our chapters are really empowered to make an impact in their backyards. What I mean by that is the revenue split between the chapters and national is 70-30, meaning chapters contribute 30% of the net of their largest fundraiser back to SCI, and they keep the remaining 70%. So we're just going to use a really easy number, 10 grand. Say that's your net. 7 grand is what you guys keep, what the chapters keep, and then 3 grand is what comes back to SCI. That's specifically and only for the largest fundraiser. So if you think of your sit down, standard banquet sort of thing. But if you've got, I always tell chapters that they should really strive to have 3 events per year, bare minimum, some sort of spring-ish banquet, some sort of summer barbecue, and some sort of Christmas party. Now, if there's some pretty easy ways, and we work with our chapters a lot to provide them ways and give them ideas of how they can turn those barbecues and those Christmas parties, et cetera, those membership events, those hours, into fundraising events so that they can build up their coffers. And then their job is to distribute that money to projects that they see fit. And so a lot of the times that's within the local community or surrounding areas. And then there's other times where, hey, there's a project that's near and dear to that chapter's heart for whatever reason in Spain or Africa or wherever. And so it's up to the board of directors of each chapter to distribute those funds. As long as they align with the mission of SCI in a pretty broad, as long as it's got some sort of conservation element or an education element or an advocacy element or a humanitarian efforts element, it pretty much is going to be, good to go. So that's kind of the additional benefit, and then the networking. Those are the top 2 in my head from a chapter's perspective. So the benefits in my eyes, from the chapters to SCI is, like I mentioned, they are in all these different communities that there's only one of me, and I have 2 guys that work for me, and they're awesome, and we're on the road a whole heck of a lot, but not enough to cover all those different communities, right? And so they really, really, really help spread the mission and the reach of SCI. Furthermore, they're helping educate the general public on the benefits of hunting, because a lot of people, it seems like an oxymoron to them that, hey, I like to hunt, but I deeply care and love animals. Like, for a lot of people, at first glance, that just doesn't compute. It doesn't make sense. But our chapters are there, and they're able to, have those conversations and break that down and show what that really means and show why that does make sense in the end.
Sure. Okay. So local chapters basically get involved in the local communities, promoting the sport, conservation, youth hunting, education, whatever it might be for the outdoors.
Absolutely. Yep. I mean, it's a huge, broad spectrum of projects from, like you mentioned, youth hunting, getting women outdoors, all the way to, making sure that hospitals have enough food and things like that, or donating meat. There's a really cool program in Alaska at a native hospital where the chapter will gather moose meat, donated moose meat, and then make sure it's clean and processed correctly and all that, and then donate that to the hospital so that the patients in the hospital can have traditional meals. And so, I mean, it's and everything in between, just a huge, huge broad spectrum. So shooting ranges, a huge spectrum of different projects that they're able to find and seek out within their communities. And really, they're experts in the community. I live in Fairbanks, Alaska, and so I have no idea what's important to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, but we have a chapter there, and they do.
You live in Alaska now?
I do, yes, sir. Yep. I live in Fairbanks, and it's been a heck of a ride for the last couple of years.
When the hell did that happen?
We've been there for 3 years, and it's been a great opportunity, and it might not be forever, but we're having a heck of an adventure right now, and I'm trying to live it to the fullest. And so I've really thrown myself into hunting in Alaska as much as I can, so chasing sheep and moose and things of that nature. Trapping has been a new hobby of mine that I'm one of those guys that when I latch a hold of something, Chris, it's like all I can do and all I want to, it's all I want to do and it's all I can think about. Sure. And so that's been trapping. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now,
it's been a good time.
We've been to a lot of fundraisers and different organizations and things of that nature. What do these fundraisers look like?
It's a good question. So, the last, I'll say, I've been doing this for 7 years, and there's certainly a very stereo fundraiser, which is a sit down gala or banquet where they're going to have, a section of silent auction and a section of raffles. Then they'll have a live auction. There'll be a dinner. And, those will generally run anywhere between 3 and 4 hours ish. and, any, American Heart Society. There's a bunch of different organizations that have a banquet such as that. But one thing that to really drive home the point of the importance of community in my eyes, one thing that we've been really stressing to our chapters is to give people an opportunity to get to know the chapter. It's really hard. People are so busy these days, and it's oftentimes it's difficult to want to give your time and your effort and your money to an organization that has an event once a year sort of thing, and then kind of fades away for the rest of the year. And there's not this ongoing ability to meet people and to network. And so one thing that we've been really stressing with our chapters lately is the importance of just provide. We call them a hunter's happy hour, and all it is, Chris, is it's a happy hour, but really it's just a chance for us to get together and chat and help build that community. And then there's ways that we turn those into fundraisers as well. So the stereotypical banquet is the sit down gala or banquet with a nice dinner and an auctioneer on stage and things like that. But we're certainly exploring other options.
And there's raffles. There's different activities going on throughout the course of the event.
Yep, raffles and games. Those are my favorite pieces of a fundraiser, just because, hey, there's a lot of people in the room that they want to see you, but they don't. I'll speak for myself. I don't have the ability to write a $5,000 or a $10,000 check. But those raffles and those games, hey, I can give you 20, 50, $100, whatever it may be, for a chance to win this really cool hunt or this really cool rifle or this Swarovski spotting scope or whatever it may be.
Yeah, there's a lot of donations to these events, so people can actually bid or buy raffle tickets on hunts or product that they normally would not be able to afford.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, it's a great opportunity if you're looking to expand your horizons from a hunting perspective. SCI banquets, and there's a bunch of other organizations, but they're a great opportunity to find good, reputable hunts, and you can bid on them. And there's even, as you are very well aware, but for the listeners, there's an organization called Online Hunting Auctions, and I mean, the lion's share of any hunting or outdoor related banquet, auction, etc., runs through that company. And so if you are in a random place or you can't travel to one of these chapter banquets, you almost always have the ability to play the game online as well. So there's that.
Good. Online Hunting Auctions has been working with American Outdoor News for 4 or 5 years now, and we're thrilled to be working with them. They're a great organization, and they work with just about everybody in the outdoor industry. So
they sure do. Yeah, they're great to work with and great people over there.
So how does somebody go about finding a local chapter?
Yeah, so the best place to do that, if you're in Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas City, Kansas, you can go to our website, which is www.club.org, and it's going to pop up a Safari Club website. And there's a tab right in the center that says Get Involved. And if you hover over that tab, it's going to shoot a drop-down menu down, and there's going to be a subheading in there that says Find a Chapter. And so you're going to click on that, and then that's going to pop up a map. And if I'll use the U.S. just as an example, I'll use Kansas City, Kansas. You're going to click on the state of Kansas, and then it's going to show you all the chapters in the state of Kansas. So you're going to click on your state, and then on the right-hand side, it'll populate those chapters in that area. Or you can do it from Montana or Nebraska or wherever you're at, where there's a good chance that we've got a chapter near you.
What if there's not a chapter by them?
So if there's not a chapter by them, and this is something that is near and dear to your heart, and you want to make a difference in your community and for your wildlife, your grandchildren, your children, you can always, there's a button at the very bottom of that page that says start a chapter here or something to that effect. And you click that button and it'll help send an automated email for you. And that just alerts us to, hey, Chris Avina is looking to start a chapter in his area. Here's his contact information, and it shoots us a form. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is if this is something that's of interest to you, and even if you just want to kick tires, shoot me an email. I'd love to have a conversation with you. And so my email it's kind of a long one. It's kind of a pain in the butt. But it's the first letter of my first name, so C with my last name, so Keys, Keys, C Keys, at SCI first, FIRST, FOR, hunters.org. I know that's a terrible mouthful, but that's my email. So C Keys at SCI firstforhunters.org.
Well, it's easy to remember because that's Safari Club International's tagline, First for Hunters. So
absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
So what's entailed in starting a chapter?
So there's some little bit of, I guess, unsexy paperwork and things like that. And that's pretty much it. We try and make it as simple and easy as possible. A big step is, finding your board, your core board members. And if you're well connected in your area, sometimes that's really easy for folks. So that's great. That makes our job a lot easier. But if you're not, and, to use an example that I laid out earlier, you're new to an area, but maybe you were involved in an SCI chapter previously, but you had to move for work or whatever it may be, and there's not a chapter in your area and you're not well connected, we can help you identify those board members. And so that's where we'll help host a Hunters Happy Hour in your community. So you help us find a restaurant or a bar, some sort of venue space, and we'll come in and we'll use our membership list, and we can whittle that down to 100 miles, whatever it may be. And we'll start dialing and smiling and inviting people to this Hunters Happy Hour. And then from there, I'll get up on stage or whatever the stage may be, and really, really help people understand what SCI is, because a lot of people don't. And in my opinion, the coolest thing, and I'm getting way into the weeds here, Chris, so reel me back in if you need me to. One of the coolest things about SCI is our advocacy department. And so we've got 8 attorneys on staff, and the way that they feed their kids and pay their mortgages and their car notes is by fighting for our rights and your rights as hunters. We have an office in Washington, D.C., 5-10 minutes away from the Senate building. And so we are in those fights all the time. And to my knowledge, we are the only hunting organization with an office in Washington, D.C., like a hard building. And then, to my knowledge, again, we have the largest advocacy team. So we have the most horsepower behind our advocacy efforts. And so to tie this back into a chapter, if you're with a chapter and there's something that pops up in your area, you have a whole team behind you. Oftentimes, they're reaching out to you. Hey, Chris, have you heard about this? That's the most common that happens, on a weekly basis here, unfortunately. But they're oftentimes going to be reaching out to you right away and strategizing with you and your chapter on how to either promote this effort or help kill this effort. So that's a huge asset to SCI, is our advocacy team and the horsepower that we've got there. And those fights are happening whether you're a member or not. But the more members we have, the bigger stick we carry and the bigger impact we can make. And so that's why membership to, again, we're talking about Safari Club, but that's why membership to SCI is so valuable. Not only are you going to get some really cool magazines, some really cool newspapers, some swag, hats and T-shirts and stuff like that, some stickers, but you're also going to know for a fact that there's people fighting for your ability to do what we love and defend what we love and make sure that your children can hunt deer the same way that you've hunted deer, that your grandpa hunted deer and he taught you, and vice versa. And so that's a really cool piece of SCI, and they work hand in glove with our chapters routinely. We have, furthermore, just to dive into the advocacy team a little bit more, we have, if you've ever tried to keep up with all conservation or hunting initiatives across the country. It's dang near a full-time job just to track them all. I mean, there's just so many in all these different states. And so SCI has said, hey, it actually is a full-time job. And as a matter of fact, it's 2 full-time jobs. And so we've got an Eastern States liaison. And so we're going to use the Mississippi, the line there. Mm-hmm. So everything east of the Mississippi River, we have a full-time professional whose entire job in life is to monitor and track and help defend different pieces of legislation coming out of the states east of the Mississippi. Yeah. And we also have the same thing. That gentleman's name is B. Frederick. And then we also have the same thing for west of the Mississippi. And that woman's name is Keely Hopkins. And then we also have, so in addition to those 2 state liaisons, we also have a federal liaison who lives in Washington, D.C. and does the exact same thing, but from the federal side of the house.
Well, you know, if you're an outdoorsman or you've been involved in the outdoor industry, everybody knows Safari Club International. But until I really started working with Safari Club International, I never realized how massive an organization you are. Everything from advocacy to you want to go on a hunt, there's somebody you could call to get advice or find out about CITES permits or things that might come up during a hunt. Or, I mean, the organization is so huge. I mean, you just acquired the Outdoor Tomorrow Foundation, which helps foster youth education in the outdoors. You acquired Texas Trophy Hunters a few years ago. I mean, you're just growing exponentially, and you're involved in every aspect of our outdoor lifestyle. And just on that alone should be enough to have somebody jump in and become a member.
Absolutely. I totally, wholeheartedly agree with you, Chris, and I wish everyone thought that way. But that's the battle that we fight, you know, every day. That's why we have membership specialists and things. A lot of people view SCI as, you know, hey, those are, I don't want to hunt in Africa, or I can't afford to hunt in Africa, et cetera. Whatever the scenario might be, you don't have to. That's exactly right. 60% of our work every year is done in the United States. Substantially more, or, you know, another portion of that is done in North America. Mm-hmm. And then the remainder, which, hey, these fights in Africa and Europe and things, you know, these are huge. These are super important, massive fights. But still, every year, the lion's share of our efforts is here in the United States. And so if you're a squirrel hunter from East Texas, tail hunter in Michigan, or an elk hunter in Montana, or a moose hunter in Alaska, or an elephant hunter in Botswana, it doesn't really matter who you hunt or what you hunt. If it's legal, regulated, and ethical hunting, SCI is going to defend and protect and promote your ability to do so in the future. That's our First for Hunters is our tagline, and it doesn't matter what type of hunter you are.
Well, I always looked at it this way, and the more I found out about the organization, the more it really made sense to me. If you're a gun owner or a shooting enthusiast, you're joining the NRA. If you're a hunter, an outdoorsman, you like to hike, fish, just enjoy our country's natural resources, you're joining SCI, because SCI is the NRA for outdoorsmen.
Yep, that's well said. Well said, Chris. And there's another thing that you mentioned a few minutes ago regarding, hey, someone I can call if I've got a question about how to get a gun in this country or this outfitter, et cetera. And that is the best kept secret of SCI. That's the Hunter's Hotline, which you as a member. And the woman that runs that her name is Barbara Crown.
Yep.
And I don't know how she's forgotten more about hunting across the globe than I know about hunting in Alaska. I mean, she is a tremendous resource. She is a wealth of knowledge. And I guarantee that if she doesn't know the answer, it doesn't matter how specific and complicated you think your question or your scenario or your issue is, if she probably knows the answer, and if she doesn't know the answer, and she knows where to find it. And that's half the battle, is just knowing where to even look. And that's a resource that we provide to all of our members. regardless of the membership tier, a 1 year, a 3 year, or a lifetime. It doesn't matter what tier membership you are. It's not an extra payment that you have to provide. That's exclusively free to our members, and she is amazing. She's fun to work with, and it's just incredible how much she knows.
Yeah, Barbara's been on our podcast. Most of the people have been on our podcast already from Safari Club International. So if you've been listening and following along with us, you've heard about most of the departments already. And on top of that, we have the Nashville Safari Club International Convention coming up in February. This is a spectacle to behold. If you've never been to a Safari Club International Convention, you have no idea what you're missing out on.
Three more. The show floor. Every morning we get there at 6:37. Very early before the show opens, and it's always fun to me to walk on the show floor early morning. And there's certainly exhibitors buzzing in and out and preparing for the day. But then you get slammed with something and you're off for a couple hours, and you walk back on the show floor at noon or 1 or whatever it is. And just the stark contrast from the last time you saw it at 6:30 in the morning to 1 p.m. is just amazing. It's so fun. It's energy in the room is just, it's electric in there. It's so exciting. Yeah. And then Nashville as a city is talk about just a fun place. And there is something for you to do. It doesn't matter what you want to do. Nashville is going to have it. We're a short walk away from Broadway. I always say, if you're phone in Nashville, it is your own fault, because I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how else I can help you.
And as an added bonus, you really never know who you're going to bump into at the convention. All of your favorite outdoor hunting celebrities are there, plus you just don't know. You might bump into Kid Rock or Jelly Roll or just somebody buzzing around the floor. They're all there. It's crazy.
Absolutely. The convention is one of my favorite events at SCI. And I really like, you go 1 year and I meet Chris and we hit it off and we have we have dinner, we have a beer, whatever it may be. And then the next year we see each other again, we pick it right back up, and then that just, you start to build this community of people that you might see once a year, then you text and but you really start to build a really fun group of friends that you see at these shows, and oftentimes they'll bounce around all the shows. But my favorite event that we do here at SCI is far and away the lobby day. And so that is in May every year. It's in conjunction with our May SCI Board of Directors meeting. So it's in Washington, D.C. We fly everybody everybody flies to Washington, D.C. So we've got chapters from across the globe there. Last year we had 120. Don't quote me there, Chris.
Wow.
But I believe it was 120 chapter members that flew into Washington, D.C., and we have our board meeting. We have a bunch of different meetings and committee. Boring stuff. The fun stuff is when we go on the Hill. And so you'll break up into our advocacy team works to plan, I don't even know, Chris. We'll call it 50, 60 meetings with legislators, both congressmen and women, senators, governors in some cases. Just a huge, I don't know how to keep track of that schedule, but they do an amazing job. And you'll break up into little advocacy teams. And so it might be state specific. So in my experience with Alaska, there's 4, 5, 6 people from Alaska every year that come, and I will join that group. And then we'll go talk with our senators, our congressmen, our congresswoman, our governor, and we'll have meetings with them. And that's our opportunity to talk about the issues of SCI, and that might be a specific bill, something that's on, they need to vote for or against, or we'd like them to vote for or against, and here's the reasons. And so there's an educational component as well. There's a relationship building component with your legislators and your people, but then the ability to build camaraderie across the entire organization, from people from Florida and Alaska and New York and everywhere. It's just incredibly powerful. And I previous to SCI, I never had the experience where I felt like I was really moving the needle and really able difference and empowered to make a difference. And I think SCI, we can always do a better job, and we're constantly working on doing that. But in my opinion, we do a really good job about empowering hunters and helping activate hunters and giving them the ability to make a difference. A lot of times I find that people, they're really passionate about whatever it is that they do, elk hunting, whitetail hunting, or just hunting in general. But oftentimes they just don't know what to do about it. They see this terrible thing that pops up in Colorado or New Mexico or whatever it might be, and oftentimes they just don't know what to do about it. And as a member of SCI, we're going to walk you through it. So I'm really passionate about the advocacy piece, the advocacy side of the house. And I can't give enough kudos to that team as well as our chapters for just working so well with that team, and that team working so well with our chapters. That's my favorite piece of it. My favorite slice of the pie.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we're running out of time here, but go to safariclub.org. You can find out anything you want to know about chapters, anything about the organization you want to join. Go to safariclub.org. If you have not subscribed to the American Outdoor News podcast, you can hit that subscribe button now, and will arrive in your inbox every week. But thank you again for taking the time to speak to us. I want everybody to have a very happy holiday, safe, and if you're getting out in the field, good luck to you. Hunt safe.
Thanks for having me, Chris. I really appreciate it.
All right, anytime.